the disappearance of Catherine, Princess of Wales, and why we can't get enough royal mysteries. In the past few weeks, there has been a media firestorm surrounding Catherine, Princess of Wales. What started out as a leave of absence to deal with a private medical issue soon sprouted conspiracy theories online and has ballooned into a royal PR nightmare with calls for proof of life. And the palace's poor handling of the situation by releasing a heavily doctored photo and other missteps has poured gasoline on the fire. Throughout history, people have been fascinated by royals, and especially royal mysteries, with even the slightest whiff of scandal. There have been so many times when the truth turned out to be even stranger than fiction. It's little wonder that we are primed to imagine the worst. Today, I will catch you up on the timeline of what has been happening surrounding the Princess of Wales. I'm not going to get into the many rumors which have been circling, as they are, at this point, only gossip and not confirmed. But I will be discussing the historic context as to why the palace has so bungled the situation, and share a few other royal mysteries from the past to explain why the public has become so obsessed with the story and spun it out beyond all proportion. First, let's take a look at the timeline of events. On the 22nd of December 2023, Kensington Palace announced that the Prince and Princess of Wales would be making an official visit to Italy in early 2024 and planned to meet the Pope at the Vatican. December 25th, Christmas Day, the royal family appeared at Sandringham, as they have done every year since 1988. This was the last time Catherine and her 3 children made a verifiable public appearance. December 28th, an ambulance with police escort was seen racing out of the Sandringham estate, where the royals were staying. No palace announcement was made about the event. January 17, 2024, Kensington Palace made an official announcement that the Princess of Wales had been admitted to hospital, the London Clinic, for planned abdominal surgery. The surgery was successful, but she was expected to remain in hospital for 2 weeks, then return home to continue her recovery. All of her planned public duties were cancelled until after Easter, which, by the way, will be Sunday, March 31st, 2024. The announcement also asked for privacy for the family and advised that only significant updates would be given. January 18th, the day after the announcement, Prince William was seen visiting the hospital. This was the only time he was seen visiting. January 24th, UK and US tabloids reported that the Wales' inner circle were shocked to hear about Catherine's surgery and were not aware of any health issues. Catherine's father-in-law, King Charles, was seen visiting the London Clinic. However, at no time during Catherine's 2-week stay were her siblings, parents, or children spotted visiting the clinic. January 28th, Spanish journalist Concheta Coleja claimed that Catherine was seriously ill and in an induced coma following her surgery. Palace aides quickly denied her story. This is odd, as the palace rarely comments on rumors. January 29th, the palace announced that Catherine was discharged from the London Clinic and had returned home to Windsor to continue her recovery. There were no photographs of her leaving the clinic. On February 5th, King Charles publicly announced his own cancer diagnosis, but declined to disclose what kind of cancer he has or his prognosis. This briefly became the biggest royal-related story. February 7th, Prince Harry flew in from California to visit his father in hospital. The meeting lasted 45 minutes. Queen Camilla also visited her husband. William did not visit or issue public well wishes. February 20th, Prince William put out an announcement on social media about the conflict in the Middle East. At the top, it included his solo monogram, which he used before he was married. February 27th, William canceled his scheduled appearance and reading at the memorial service for his godfather, King Constantine II of Greece, at the last minute, citing personal reasons. In the same announcement, he mentioned that his wife, Catherine, was doing fine. It is very unusual for a royal to pull out of a public appearance like this at the last minute. At this point, it had been 9 weeks since Catherine or the children had been seen in public. The next day, #WhereIsKateMiddleton started trending online. February 29th, a palace spokesperson made another rare announcement addressing the online rumors. Kensington Palace made it clear in January the timeline for the princess's recovery, and we'd only be providing significant updates. That guidance stands. March 4th, a photograph which appears to be of Catherine being driven in a car by her mother Carol near Windsor Castle emerged in the US press. This photo did not appear in the UK, as their press is far less likely to run stories relating to the monarch or heir without royal permission. In the photograph, Catherine looks noticeably different, particularly around her jawline. March 10th, Mother's Day in the United Kingdom. The Prince and Princess of Wales's official Instagram account posted a photograph of Catherine, looking quite like herself, surrounded by her 3 smiling children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. The photo was reported to have been taken by Prince William at their home, Adelaide Cottage in Windsor Great Park. The caption read, "Thank you for your kind wishes and continued support over the last 2 months. Wishing everyone a happy Mother's Day. C for Catherine." A happy family photo which should have quelled all the rumors quickly poured gasoline on the fire. Immediately, people online pointed out that the photo was heavily and poorly edited. Within hours, major photo agencies, including the Associated Press, Getty, and Reuters, issued what's called a kill notice, recalling the photo because it appeared to have been modified by the source. There were also questions about when the photo was taken, which I will get into later. And most notably of all, that Catherine was not wearing her wedding or engagement rings, which she is rarely photographed without. The next day, the royal couple's X account tweeted, "Like many amateur photographers, I do occasionally experiment with editing. I want to express my apologies for any confusion the family photo we shared yesterday caused. I hope everyone celebrating had a very happy Mother's Day. C." March 11th, a single paparazzi shot of William in a car with the woman who appears to be Catherine went public. There have been rumors that this photo too was doctored. Kensington Palace maintains that the princess will return to public duties after Easter, and they are declining to comment further. Catherine's many fans, myself included, hope that she truly is doing well, recovering and getting some much-needed rest and time out of the spotlight. Even princesses need and deserve a break. And most people don't have the pressure and stress of the worldwide media speculating about their every move while they're trying to heal. But there are several suspicious things going on in the timeline of events. If Catherine's surgery was planned, then why was a royal trip to Italy scheduled around the same time and then canceled? Why didn't her staff or friends know anything about it in advance? Why didn't more of her family visit her in the hospital? And why are the only 3 photos we've seen of her in 2 months raising more questions than they're answering? Since this whole debacle began, I have been saying that the palace should just call in hair and makeup and take a nice, curated, and art-directed photo of her resting at home. That should have stopped all the rumors. They tried to do just that and botched it horribly. As someone who has a background in graphic design and knows my way around Photoshop, I can tell you that the mistakes in the photo were typical of people starting out in photo editing. And it is in no way surprising that this photo was edited to some degree. Anyone who has tried to photograph a group of people, let alone children, knows that getting one shot with everyone looking good is near impossible. There was a similar Photoshop issue with the Wales' 2023 Christmas card, in which it appeared that Louis had lost a finger and Catherine's leg was missing. However, for photographs with so much expectation and inevitable scrutiny surrounding them, it is shocking that the royal family didn't use a professional photo editor, or at least have one review the final image. It's also odd that William was given credit for taking the photo, but when it came time to apologize, Catherine took the blame. And any PR specialist worth their salt should have immediately spotted that Catherine wasn't wearing her rings. This photo was meant to dispel, among many other rumors, that the relationship between the prince and princess might be in trouble. So the missing rings and husband only mounted suspicions. Internet sleuths have also pointed out how green the grass and trees are when it is still winter in the UK. There have even been claims that Catherine is wearing the exact same outfit she was photographed in at a charity event with her 3 children back in November, but that the color of her top was changed. and that her face in the photo may be a reworking of her Vogue cover from 2016. The most reasonable explanation for all of this is that Catherine is, as the palace has stated, recovering from abdominal surgery. Surgeries can be difficult to heal from and include unforeseen complications. They can cause fatigue, discomfort, and swelling, which may be perfectly rational explanations for her altered appearance, desire not to be seen in public, and not wearing her wedding rings. The palace is in a difficult position and walking a fine line with wanting to let the public know why she's out of action, but also preserving her privacy. As with King Charles's cancer diagnosis, not revealing specifics about Catherine's health is perfectly reasonable. However, intimate medical details about royals from the past are now accounted as part of history, and they continue to fascinate. Queen Caroline of Ansbach developed an umbilical hernia following the delivery of her 8th child. She lived with the condition for 13 years until she collapsed during a formal reception. Her doctors discovered that part of her small intestine had fallen out of her belly button. The surgeons cut off the offending intestine repeatedly until Queen Caroline died in agony at the age of 54. According to a popular theory, Britain's national anthem, God Save the King, was written to celebrate Louis XIV of France making an unlikely recovery from an operation to remove an anal fistula. Details about the origin of the song are fuzzy, but we do have reliable and vivid accounts of Louis' surgery, which modern royals would likely want to keep out of the headlines. Even today, other royal families seem to handle disclosing personal medical information much better. Recently, King Harald V of Norway, 87, was hospitalized with an infection while on vacation in Malaysia. Upon his return, he was fitted with a pacemaker. His daughter-in-law, Crown Princess Mette-Marit, has taken several leaves of absence because of medical issues, including pulmonary fibrosis, pneumonia, neurovirus, and a herniated disc. The Norwegian royals have been consistently more straightforward about disclosing to the public what is going on with their health, and even taking the opportunity to bring light to chronic illness. And while there have been some grumblings that perhaps it's time for King Harald to step down, or that Mette-Marit has not been able to perform her tax-funded public duties, there has been nothing like the maelstrom surrounding Catherine. Similarly, Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden has received an enormous amount of praise for openly discussing her struggles with mental health, eating disorders, and face blindness. Catherine herself was praised back in 2012 for going public with her struggles with hyperemesis gravidarum and bringing light to the common struggles of morning sickness. Of course, disclosing medical information is a highly personal choice, and Catherine doesn't owe this to the public. But with more and more celebrities and regular people openly sharing stories of miscarriages and other medical struggles, omission is now often perceived as dishonesty. For someone who is in the public eye as much as the Princess of Wales, it is no surprise that sharing partial information has opened up the floor to wild speculation about her health. Catherine has always been a very private person. In Spare, Prince Harry recounted an incident where Catherine became upset when Meghan made a passive joke about her hormones. Catherine is also very protective of how her children are exposed to the public, which is absolutely right and the best thing for their mental health. Where there is a disconnect is that what the Waleses do share with us always seems too perfect to be real. Recall how runway ready Catherine looked hours after giving birth to her first child. With the rise of the mommy blogger and COVID-era Zoom meetings with small children running through the background, people are beginning to give up on the perfectly posed family portrait. Celebrities who share a peek of the chaos that is their real lives are humanized and embraced. And therein lies the real problem with the Mother's Day photo. It's just too perfect. The metadata did disprove that it was generated by AI. It is very plausible that Catherine did Photoshop it using old images of herself because she is uncomfortable sharing a current picture post-surgery. However, a less perfect but more honest picture would have gone over much better with the public. The secondary category of rumors fall under the heading of marriage troubles between the Prince and Princess of Wales. There is varied speculation that they are separating or that William is involved with another woman. And as similar scenarios have played out time and time again with royals in the near and distant past, there is little wonder that this comes to the forefront of the public imagination. Sophia Dorothea of Celle should have been Queen of Great Britain, but she and her husband, Prince George of Hanover, had a miserable marriage. They both took lovers, but while this was expected of the prince, it was treasonous for a princess. Sophia and her lover plotted to run away together, but their plans were leaked to the prince, and the lover disappeared mysteriously. Rumors spread that he had been murdered and his body thrown into the river or buried under the floorboards of Sophia's dressing room. But the mystery has never been solved. Prince George divorced his wife and imprisoned her for the rest of her life. She was never allowed to see her children again. When George inherited the British throne, he took off for London without her, and the public wondered what had become of the woman who should have been their queen. Much more recently, we've seen the catastrophic marriage and divorce of Charles and Diana, which was also recently dredged up by the popular series The Crown. With all the unhappiness and tragedy Princess Diana experienced at the hands of both the media and the royal family, it's little wonder the public is drawing parallels to Princess Catherine. Royal fans and the royal family hoped that the happy relationship between glamorous William and Catherine would rewrite that history and restore for us the fantasy of an ideal and praiseworthy royal couple. For the nearly 13 years of their marriage, the palace media machine has fed the public a regular diet of the couple, well-dressed and half well-coiffed, doing charity work, dazzling in tiara and tux, and generally playing out the fantasy. The pressure they must be under to maintain a perfect veneer of a happy couple and family is surely enormous. Even the strongest relationships go through rough patches, but most people don't have to work on their marriages under a media microscope. And in the back of the public consciousness is the constant idea that things might not really be as perfect as they seem. Any cracks in the veneer are quickly pounced on and dissected for hidden suggestions of scandalous misdeeds. For the first time in a decade and a half, the constant coverage of the smiling princess abruptly stopped for an extended period, and that vacuum has been filled with rumors and speculation. The public loves a good disappearance story. In 1483, King Edward V inherited the throne at the age of 13 after the sudden death of his father. He was moved to the Tower of London with his younger brother Richard to await his coronation. While they were out of the public eye, their uncle, Richard, produced evidence that they were illegitimate and had himself crowned King Richard III instead. The princes in the tower were never seen again, and what happened to them remains one of the most popular mysteries in history. In 1926, Agatha Christie, not a royal but one of the most famous novelists in the world, disappeared. The story became a worldwide sensation, and the public pored over evidence of her car being found near a quarry and reports of arguments with her husband. The British government initiated a nationwide manhunt. 10 days later, Agatha emerged. She had spent the time having tea at Harrods and then visiting her sister. Catherine, who is just as, if not more, famous than Agatha, has now been out of the public eye for 80 days. The palace should have seen that trickling snippets of partial, obviously edited information into the void would only fuel the media and public's ravenous fascination. But why didn't they? Throughout history, royal families have been in the public eye, but they have tried to maintain a dignified separation. Walter Bagehot wrote in 1867, "Above all things, our royalty is to be reverenced, and if we begin to poke at it, you cannot reverence it. Its mystery is its life. We must not let in daylight upon the magic." During the reign of Queen Victoria, newspapers were just beginning to rev up and report on the royal family as celebrities rather than sacred idols. Victoria and her descendants since have maintained a rigid public relations policy, which is often described as never complain, never explain. This means no commenting on rumors, and when you make a mistake, never explain yourself, just press on. This adage served the royals well in eras when they were still revered, but it was worn thin in the 1990s, and it is looking completely threadbare now. Never before in history has the public had such constant and immediate access to royalty. And the monarchy, which is inherently an archaic institution based on ancient ideas of primogeniture and divine right, is simply not prepared for that reality, nor perhaps are any of us. Since the Victorian era, the royal family have tried to get at least the British press on their side, but with a directive that the monarch and the heir must be protected, often at the expense of other members of the family. By making the people in the direct line to the throne look as good as possible, the royals sidestep long overdue questions about why a person who won the genetic lottery by being the firstborn of the firstborn of the firstborn gets to hold the exalted position of monarch and head of state. You can see this dynamic in the vastly different way the media has portrayed William and Harry, Elizabeth and Margaret, and many other sets of royal siblings. I have a video all about it. In the 1930s, the British press killed reports of an affair between King Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson, but those stories were widely printed in the United States, so Americans were unsurprised when the king abdicated to marry his controversial paramour, while Brits were floored. Many call for Kate to be left alone during her time of healing, and that is certainly fair. But why does it seem that the media and the public can't seem to look away from royal stories with even a hint of scandal? When Harry and Meghan waited just a few days to release photos of their newborn son Archie, the press raged with headlines reminding the couple, "We pay, you pose." Because the royal family's lavish lifestyle is funded by taxes, with a tacit agreement that they will perform public, diplomatic, and charity duties, there is a sense that the tax-paying public are their employers. Any employee should be entitled to a medical leave of absence and privacy. But because we are talking not about an individual elected official, but a whole family on the public payroll, who fully expect that their children and their children's children will continue in the same vein, the lines between the public and the personal have vanished. Modern constitutional monarchies survive solely on their popularity. In Britain, the royals haven't technically had political power since the Glorious Revolution of 1688. So, if they lose the love of the people, they could be out of their publicly owned palaces and out of a job. There is something exploitative about how Catherine has been positioned as the face and hope for the future of the monarchy. There is an argument to make that she willingly agreed to this Faustian bargain by choosing to marry into the royal family as an adult. However, her children and many other royals were born into the situation, and we have seen with Harry and Meghan that attempting to opt out doesn't really work. This latest royal scandal may turn out to be the media making a mountain out of a molehill, accidentally helped along by the palace, which is, as usual, out of step with modern reality. Or there may be more going on than we know. More should become evident after Easter, when Catherine is expected to return to public duties. Either way, I wish her the best. But I would not wish royalty on anyone. Want even more tea on history? Check out the History Tea Time podcast. You can now follow History Tea Time on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment your thoughts, and check out my other history videos. You can also join my Patreon to support my work and get early access to all of my multi-part series. Thank you for watching.